Hello, I'm Roland Janice of Cortex Media, and welcome to Cortex Conversations. 10 quick minutes with a series of leading media professionals from all sides of the business who will share their thoughts and opinions on changes impacting the media industry today. To facilitate these conversations, we've enlisted the help of Deborah Malone of The Internationalist, a leading contributor of content opinion in the industry. So without further ado, I give the floor over to Deborah Malone to lead today's Cortex conversation.
Thank you, Roland. I'm Deborah Malone of The Internationalist on behalf of Cortex Conversations. Today, I'm speaking with Jose Molina, Senior Manager of Corporate Procurement at Constellation Brands, which produces some of the world's most iconic beer, wine, and spirit brands. Welcome to the show, Jose.
Good afternoon, Deborah. I'm so glad to be here.
Excellent. Well, I'm delighted that you're here as a guest on Cortex Conversations. Well, look, let's start with some basics. Let's look at the media spending outlook. I think, as you're certainly well aware, many media plans have been deferred, delayed, or canceled as marketing messages were certainly recalibrated for a very anxious world. But now we're in a new year. What do you think that means for 2021?
Well, I mean, obviously, 2020 was certainly a difficult year in so many different levels, right? Between the civil unrest, polarizing elections, and the ongoing pandemic. One thing that we saw was the TV viewership kind of skewed towards news consumption, which certainly had an impact on the rating shortfalls on the high-end sports, which is something that we focus quite a lot. So I think as we move forward towards 2021, we should feel now that there's an actual vaccine, now that we're past the elections, things should normalize a little bit. We're hopeful that this will become less of an issue. But I think one other thing that's also important is we're still going to see the fragmentation of viewership across the different screens, especially over-the-top and connected televisions. I think that's going to continue. And the fact that there's still no silver bullet as a measuring tool that we can continually use to measure cross-screen activity is probably going to be impacting us moving forward.
Yeah, it certainly seems that there are some issues in this world that don't go away. You mentioned news viewership because of some of the incidences last year. Will there be a shift away from that?
I think, yeah. I mean, the biggest struggle with on the news side is obviously the age verification and all that. So I think now that we'll start getting some live sports again, hopefully, I think we should shift our focus to that.
Yeah, and I know that people are looking forward to the Super Bowl, whether there are fans or not in the stands, although it sounds like now that it's in Tampa, quite a number of people are thinking a bit more that there'll be as many as fans there as possible, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm pretty sure though there will be some fans either inside or outside the stadium, one way or another.
That's true. With masks, we hope.
Exactly.
Let me ask you something quite specific then. And I know that obviously with a company with wines and beers and spirits and so on, that there are certain restrictions with some advertising, but certainly we saw digital media was considered a winner, or at least a bright spot in 2020. Now some of that may have been e-commerce lumped into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see this as a shift in direction for Constellation Brands in general?
Yeah, I mean, prior to the whole pandemic, our marketing leadership had certainly identified digital, specifically e-com and DTC, direct-to-consumer, as probably the two biggest vertices where there were huge areas of opportunities, just given the fact that our consumers have gone digital. I think the most interesting step that on that regard is that about 15% of our offline in-store sales are digitally influenced. And it may not sound as much when you took a look, just hear the percentage number, but to put it in perspective, we're talking about roughly $600 million of sales. So I think there is a big push to continue on the e-com channels and DTC and kind of walk away from that thinking that's only digital shopping or online shopping. So there is, I think we'll see more and more of that. Especially, again, it didn't really come as a result of the pandemic. I think our leadership had identified it as an opportunity beforehand. The only thing that the pandemic did was it actually accelerated all of our plans altogether.
Yeah, no, that certainly seemed to be the way that things were going. Things were in process, and then the pandemic just certainly accelerated so many different issues. Were there any other swings that you noticed, or any other surprises?
Not really. I mean, I think that this was probably the biggest one. I think it kind of made all the advertisers kind of push the pedal to the metal, as they say, and kind of just whatever plans they had, or were thinking about it, or were probably on the fence about. It was like, all right, this is this is the time to do it. And I mean, obviously, we did saw. If you're talking about the actual content, we actually had to repurpose some of the content itself. But that's probably a different story, right? But as far as trends and all that, I think that's really what happened as a result of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, I wonder now if it's more about then, given it's more digital, if it's about more performance marketing based than necessarily brand building. Helping to support those retailers and pushing, volume.
Pushing volume, correct, exactly.
Yeah. No, interesting. All right, so let's do a fun one, which in these years I'm not sure how much fun, but if you could characterize 2021 in one word or a simple phrase, what would it be?
I think I would probably go with Bedlam. I think that's probably the best one I could think of at the moment. Listen, obviously there are bigger things than marketing. There were people that got really impacted,
of course,
and all that have you, right? But if we're looking at it from a marketing procurement lens or point of view, we had to pivot on so many different fronts. Like as I said, obviously viewership changed. All of a sudden, you don't have any more live events. So then we had productions that we had to cancel, reschedule, or even change because being in the outlet industry, it's all about the party scene, right? It's all about getting together with more people. All of a sudden, you really can't be showing that on television, right? So you have to pump the brakes, whatever you had kind of reinvented, but at the same time, you're unable to shoot because you got countries and locations that are shut down, so you really can't shoot any more content. So how do you get creative? You get user-generated content or start recording things out of iPhones and things like that. So we had to do a lot on the fly as things were happening. Obviously, March Madness got canceled, the NBA got canceled, the Olympic got canceled. So all that certainly had an impact on our plans for Lean on television as well, right? So it was just a constant one thing after the other where we had to innovate and evolve and try to come up with something new or different that we could do instead of the plans that we had originally set up back in 2019.
No, so Bedlam continues. I think that a lot of people are just under the impression that, a page turns on the calendar and everything is different, but
it's gone.
it's more of the same. I mean, I realize that there's hope with the vaccine, but do you feel at all that you're learning to cope or cope faster with some of the Bedlam?
Yeah, I think it made us kind of rethink a little bit as to how we do things and being able to, as you point out, to better cope with an ever-changing environment. Because I think in marketing, it's all about change, right? How quickly you can actually adapt to it. I don't think anyone was expecting it to be this drastic, but I think it is a good learning lesson as to how you can better cope with the environment and what's going on in the world.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Maybe coping is also one of those words, huh?
That is correct. That's probably a more suitable word.
But looking ahead, I mean, let's just look ahead on a broader scale. Are there any changes that you'd actually like to see in the marketplace? Within marketing and media procurement, is there something that should change?
I think the biggest thing for me is transparency. I think there are the game keeps evolving, or they keep changing the rules of the game that it makes it really hard, and we have to continue to push for transparency, not only in our contracts and from our partners and media agencies and everyone else. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. Recently, I was reading about a study from PwC. That basically, I think it was over 50% of the media budgets or media dollars we're being siphoned off by the ad tech ecosystems, right? So you get a lot of stuff that's going into the black boxes, and no one really knows what's coming out. And so I think, ideally, in an ideal world, I think being able to get a little bit more transparency from your partners would be great. It's probably a pipe dream, if you will, but I think we have to keep that in mind and continue pushing for it. And eventually we'll get into a much better position, and we'll know that at least we're getting the most out of our partners. So I think that would probably be the one thing.
Well, there seems to have been a little bit of progress, if nothing more, because the issue has been raised, but I know it does take time between, words and actions. So hopefully.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, since this is Cortex Conversations, I thought that I'd end by just asking you if there was something that Cortex Media could better explore, as they offer their media outlook for 2021 and their advice to clients.
I think overall, the folks at Cortex do a pretty good job in staying on top of trends and communicating those to their partners, just like us. I think probably one thing, it'll be great to have more of this type of spaces, more of a roundtable conversations and ongoing virtual environments. Because obviously, I mean, we get a chance to meet with them at the different shows that we normally go to as procurement experts, right? But kind of like an ongoing thing of a virtual roundtable, if you will, we'll probably just have more of a conversation about the topics of what they're seeing in the industry and the trends and how we can better adapt to those. I think that would certainly be helpful for the advertisers.
No, I think that we're missing a lot of those peer-to-peer conversations, and I think that's a wonderful suggestion. Well, if I could wish you a happy and healthy 2021, and we'll have to celebrate with some of those wonderful beverages that you offer. So hopefully we can do that again soon, and you'll be back on the show soon.
Hopefully we could do that and have an actual live toast. But thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and hope that everyone and Cortex and everyone else has a happy 2021.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Jose.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us for today's conversation. I hope you found it as interesting and helpful as I did, and I hope you will join us again for the next Cortex Conversation.